Chapter 11 presents the evidence that seems to favor macroevolution. Chapter 12 presents the case for informed intervention or creation. How well does the evidence support each opinion? Do organisms have scars that reveal their evolutionary journey from a common ancestor through time? We'll begin with the topic of homology and analogy. These skeletons of the legs from creatures illustrate homology. The human arm, seal's flipper, bat's wing, and a dog's leg. They look so different, and yet if you compare the bones, they each start with the shoulder blade or scapula, the humerus, the radius and ulna, and then the same kind of bones in the hand. Even a bat's wing is just elongated finger bones. So we call that homology. They all have the same pattern in their anatomy. Analogy, however, is the comparison of structures that have the same function but very different anatomy. A bat's wing is a hand with very elongated finger bones. Pterosaur is a flying reptile, and it's similar to some extent, but the entire wing is supported by the very elongated pinky finger, just one finger supporting that membrane. Of course, an insect's wing is totally different. A bird's wing has bones partly like a reptile or a mammal, but the wing itself is of feathers. Those are analogies. So how do we interpret this? What does it tell us about origins? Well, take homology. There are two ways to interpret this. One, they have the same bone structure because they inherited that from a common evolutionary ancestor. So they all have the same finger bones because their ancestor had those. That's one interpretation. The other interpretation, they have the same pattern because they had a common designer, a common creator. How would we know which is the correct interpretation of homology, common ancestor or common designer? If this is all we had, we'd have to just say we don't know. But we look to other kinds of evidences to help us to understand which is the correct interpretation. There also are homologies in biochemistry. In this chart, we look at the number of amino acid differences in a molecule, cytochrome C, in many different organisms. And we won't try to digest all of this here, but just look down on the left side, you have monkeys down to yeast. And you notice in the first column, the monkey has only one amino acid difference from a human, whereas a turkey has 13 differences, yeast has 45 differences. Now, what does this tell us? Well, one interpretation is that these are homologies in biochemistry which came from evolution. Is that really true? Or is that, are they different because the Creator designed them different? You can then take these numbers, these amino acid differences, and can use them to make a phylogenetic tree from that cytochrome C data. And the ones that are most similar end up being close together on this phylogenetic tree, just like a normal evolutionary phylogenetic tree. So the mammals are together, the fish are together, etc. And so again, we ask, is it because of evolution or because of systematic differences in the needs of each animal or plant group? In other words, are they similar or different because the Creator knew what kind of cytochrome each one needs? You can use similar data to make many other phylogenetic trees. Here's a phylogenetic tree of the eutherian mammals, which is the mammals other than the marsupials. Again, from amino acid differences. And it's the same kind of data as before. It just includes all the mammals, and the ones that are most similar end up being together. Like on the right side, we have horses and tapirs and rhinos. On the left side, we have bears and dogs, etc. And so it looks like, a meaningful description of evolution. Homologies can be in anatomy, biochemistry, physiology, or DNA, or other things. But really, this evidence alone can't tell whether it's from a common ancestor or a common designer. To answer our question about origin, we have to look at all the evidence together, including epigenetics, orphan genes, irreducible complexity, biochemical complexity, and many other things. When we do this, we see that the evidence is all compatible with a common creator, common designer, but is not compatible with origin by evolution from a common ancestor.